Alright guys, let's continue working on the PBR. As you guys can see, little sneak peek. The engine is in there, front light, indicators, and some other small stuff has been done. Oh wait, what's this? Why is there a bike hidden from you guys, covered in towels? Is that a secret project you guys are not allowed to know anything about? Yes it is, because today we're not here for the pit bike, we're not here for the PBR, we're not here for this bike because this is still a secret. We are here for this bike. Because nobody knows about this bike yet. We've had it for a little while. I got it around the same time. I think actually before I got the pit bike is when this got in here. I'm sorry for the bad lighting. I'm sorry for the shitty video. I'll put it outside and record some good B-roll for you guys in the next episode, but I'm not gonna push this outside. It's raining, it's cold. This bike is massive. It barely fits through the door. And I'm just gonna be honest, this bike, it's too heavy. It's the biggest, physically, the biggest and heaviest bike I've ever seen. It probably weighs twice as much as my R125, and that's not a joke. There's no way I can get this out of the freaking shed on my own. This is, yeah, no. But it is, well, we're not sure yet. The paperwork says it is a 19, what was it, 57? I think is what the paperwork said, 57. Dnepr, if that's how you pronounce it. In a second you'll see me and my friend start working on this. And this engine will not be in yet, we already worked on it. The engine and the transmission was not originally in it when we got it. But a little bit of backstory, it is a old military style bike from 1957 is what the paperwork says. It's a bike that was built in the USSR, and the guy we got it from bought it from a Polish guy years back. It has a big twin-cylinder 650 boxer engine with a weird transmission. It looks like a car transmission because it has like a big flywheel and stuff. We actually ordered that new. Well, new. It's not new, but new to us because the old one is in that box. It was broken. It's shaft-driven, not a chain. And you might be wondering what this is. Well, this is to attach a sidecar because yes, it comes with a sidecar, which we also have, but doesn't fit in my shed anymore. So the crazy part is we got this bike for free. We got it of a guy that I don't know, my friend doesn't know, but he contacted the mom of my friend asking if her son wanted a bike. He had multiple bikes standing at home and his wife was complaining that she needed some space. So he gave us this for free. He was a really nice guy. Well, of course he gave us a free bike, but he was a really nice guy. He really wanted to give it us for free. So this box is all some extra stuff we got with it. That's the broken transmission. There's the seat and some more stuff in there. And we got two folders with documentation, pictures how they disassemble everything, documenting everything really nicely. Let's kick into the actual building. Secret project! Alright guys, so this is how we received the bike, as you guys can see, without the engine in there or the transmission. So first thing on the list is obviously getting the engine in there. We know the engine runs because the previous owner showed it to us that it actually ran. So that's awesome. So we first take off the tank to give us as much space as possible for getting the engine in there. But before we did that, we actually went through the boxes of the extra parts we got. Now most of that was actually stuff we couldn't reuse because it was, you know, old or damaged. But there was some good stuff in there. As mentioned before, the bike came with two folders of documentation. So the engine is held in by two rods that go through the frame and through the engine, but your foot pegs are also attached to that rod. So we first just took a look and see how that worked before getting the engine in there, because it would suck if you had to take the rod back out because we did it wrong. So after playing around with that, we finally decided to put the engine in there, and my god, that's a heavy engine. So we first placed the engine on some tires next to the bike, and then we kinda put the engine in there diagonally, then shifted it how it was supposed to sit, and then let our little jack just push it up so we can get the rods through the engine. So we put the rods in with a little bit of help from a hammer, and there it is. The engine is in the bike. And let me tell you guys, this boxer engine looks sick. There's also a top engine mount, which we bolted down, and then we proceeded by doing some small stuff, doing some of the electrical wiring and putting this cover on the bike, which is, yeah, just look at this. I'm not really sure what you would call this cover, but it's going on the bike. Next up, we tackled the carburetors, putting the throttle cable in there. Now these are gonna need some tuning, no doubt, but that's for later. Next up, we removed this horrible indicator, which is in such a bad place that when you turn the handlebars, the mirror actually touches the tank, so you don't have a full steering lock, which will decrease the turning radius even more, which I'm pretty sure it's already pretty bad on a bike as big as this one. Next up, we tackled the transmission. Now, as mentioned in the intro to this video, the transmission is not your standard motorcycle transmission. It looks more like a car transmission with a big flywheel. Now, because this doesn't have a chain but a shaft, we will first have to unbolt the whole rear section of the bike, slide it back so the transmission fits in between the engine and the shaft, and then put the wheel back where it was supposed to be, in the bike. This was actually a really frustrating part of this bike. Taking it apart was pretty easy, but getting everything to line back up was a pain in the ass. It did take us a good hour or two just getting everything back together. Once the back was fully disassembled, as I said, there was place to slide the transmission on the engine, which was pretty straightforward. But then getting everything back together was really a pain in the ass. It works with this big round plate with holes in, which sits on the transmission side, and then you have this little fork that fits in the holes that fits on the shaft side. But everything is just so tight in there that it has to sit perfectly or it just doesn't fit. And with a big, heavy bike like this, it's sometimes pretty difficult to get everything to line up perfectly. We actually had to take the transmission out a few times to see how everything should line up and work, because it's pretty difficult with limited documentation. Of course, we had the documents with the pictures, but that just shows where everything was supposed to sit and not how you need to put it there. Now, after fighting with that for a good few hours, we got it back together. It looked good. We won't know until we actually can start the bike, but we just decided to do some more small stuff, like putting the shifter on there, foot pegs in the right place, Kickstarter on there, and the brake pedal. Now, this was the first episode of this build. If you enjoyed it, please leave a like. If you want to see more, please subscribe. It takes a lot of work to make one of these videos. We started working on this bike in the beginning of September, and it's now the beginning of November, so it took us 2 months to record one episode for you guys. So if you want more of these, please leave a like, that would be highly appreciated. We still have to order some stuff for the bike. We're gonna pick up some oil, do an oil change, a battery, some other small stuff. And I guess next episode we try to fire it up for the first time, maybe? I don't know.
Yes, baby! We got the differential oil, I don't have to buy that shit!